It's strange what sticks with you after something like that. Not the screaming, not the running, but the sound of the vent humming above the bed. That soft buzz was the last thing I heard before I realized someone was breathing with me through the wall. My name's Emma Vale. I was a traveling nurse back in 2018, driving from hospital to hospital across the Midwest. That night, the storm hit harder than expected. Rain like needles, lightning in sheets. I pulled off the highway at exit 47, saw a flickering neon sign that read Valley View Motel, vacancy. There was nothing valley about it, just cracked pavement, one buzzing light, and a man behind the counter who never looked up from his crossword. Room 12's clean enough, he said, sliding the key across the counter. You the only one here tonight. The way he said only should have been my first warning. I remember fumbling with my bags, rain soaking through my scrubs. The air smelled like mildew and something metallic. Inside the room, the wallpaper peeled at the corners and a vent above the bed hummed like a trapped fly. I turned on the small TV just to have some noise. It played a rerun of Wheel of Fortune. The vowels felt safer than the silence. At around midnight, I killed the lights. The rain eased up. That's when I heard it. A faint tap, tap, tap behind the vent. At first, I thought it was water hitting the metal. Then it came again, slower, deliberate, like fingers. I got up, stood on the bed, and pressed my ear to the vent. Nothing, just air. But when I stepped down, I heard a breath, shallow, raspy, and not mine. I whispered, "Hello?" No response. Then just as I started to laugh it off, something whispered back, so softly I almost missed it. Emma. My Emma. Emma. Every muscle in my body locked. No one at the motel knew my name. I grabbed my phone, switched on the flashlight, and pointed it at the vent. Dust glowed in the beam. Behind the metal slats, nothing. Then the vent grill twitched just slightly, as if something on the other side had exhaled. I called the front desk. The phone rang twice. "Reception?" "There's someone in the wall," I said. "Room 12. Can't be. We sealed that crawl space years ago." Click. He hung up. That's when I heard movement above me, slow scraping along the ceiling tiles. The lights flickered. The vent buzzed harder, rattling now. I grabbed my phone, climbed on the bed again, and angled the camera toward the opening, using the flash to see past the slats. The photo looked empty at first, but when I zoomed in, a small red dot blinked back. A camera lens. Someone was recording from inside the duct. I bolted. Door, hallway, rain, didn't matter. I sprinted straight to my car. The key slipped twice before the ignition caught. As I pulled out, lightning flashed, and in that split second of white light, I saw the attic hatch above room 12 hanging open. Someone was watching me from the crawl space, a pale face, motionless, like he'd been waiting for me to look up. I didn't stop until I reached the next gas station 20 miles out. The clerk there let me use his phone to call the police. They went to check the motel. Later that night, they called back. "Ma'am, the owner says no one's checked into room 12 for 6 months. The attic's empty. We found your bag still inside." They found the vent grill unscrewed from the inside, but no one and nothing else. I quit traveling after that. Took a permanent position in Chicago. I told myself it was exhaustion, paranoia, imagination, until last spring. A small padded envelope showed up in my mailbox, no return address. Inside, a single flash drive, on the label written in block letters, Room 12. I plugged it in. There were only 2 files, both with silent videos of me sleeping. In one, you can see the red light blinking from the vent. In the other, the camera pans down, slowly, toward the bed, then stops inches from my face. I've moved apartments 3 times since then, but sometimes, at night, When the air turns cold and the vents start to hum, I still hear it. A breath that isn't mine. I used to think working nights made me braver. Empty buildings, silent hallways, the hum of fluorescent lights. That was my comfort zone. Until the night the building started breathing back. My name's Clara Henley. I was a janitor at Northbridge University, assigned to clean the old biology wing after it was shut down for renovations. The school said the basement had been decommissioned, sealed off years ago, except someone kept leaving footprints on the stairs that led down to it. That night, the snow was still falling when I clocked in. The security guard, Milo, handed me a fresh key card. "Don't go near the boiler corridor," he said. "They're rewiring stuff down there." I laughed. Boiler corridor sounded like a fancy way to say basement. The halls were quiet, too quiet. The kind of silence that makes you aware of your own heartbeat. My cart squeaked against the tiles, echoing off the lockers like I wasn't alone. Every door was padlocked, except one, B12, marked storage. I swept my card just to check. The light turned green. Inside the room, the air felt damp, warm, wrong. Stacks of lab equipment lined the walls, glass jars filled with something cloudy. The hum of a machine came from behind another door, one labeled authorized personnel only. When I leaned close, I heard it, a soft exhale, not mechanical, human. I stepped back, heart pounding. The handle was warm, like someone had just let go of it. I went to find Milo, but his booth was empty. On the desk sat a student ID, still warm, time-stamped 11:46 p.m. It belonged to a girl named Renee Foster, listed as missing on the bulletin board last semester. That's when I heard the metallic breathing again. Long inhale, short exhale, a rhythm, steady as a heartbeat. It wasn't coming from the vents this time. It was under the floor. I followed the sound to a grated section behind the boiler. Through it, I could see another room. Dim red light, surgical tables, wet tiles. Then something moved. A shape pressed up against the glass partition on the far side, skin gray, eyes closed, chest heaving like it was remembering how to breathe. It wasn't animal. It wasn't quite human either. My mop clattered to the floor. The sound made it flinch. Then its eyes opened, white and unfocused. And the breathing stopped. The lights cut out. Only the red emergency bulb stayed on, pulsing like a heartbeat. Behind me, metal scraped, the door to storage creaking open on its own. I bolted, feet sliding on wet tiles. My keycard fell. Didn't matter. I slammed into the stairwell door and sprinted 2 flights, lungs burning. As I reached the top, I heard a voice from the darkness below. "We're still testing." I didn't look back. By the time I reached security, Milo was back in his booth, pale and shaking. "You heard it too, didn't you?" I asked. "Heard what?" he said. But his eyes gave him away. He slid a paper bag across the counter. Inside was my lost key card and the student ID. "Don't come back here," he whispered. "The basement doesn't exist." The next day, my access was revoked. My supervisor said the old biology wing was permanently off limits, part of a government grant renovation. I quit the week after. A month later, I was cleaning my apartment vents when I heard it again. The same slow metallic breath. I froze. Phone flashlight pointed at the opening. Something small clattered out. A rusted janitor's keychain, my initials still etched into it. I never brought it home. Now, when the heating kicks on late at night, I still hear it. The inhale, the exhale, syncing with my own until I can't tell which is which.
I've spent my whole life around lakes. Grew up near one, worked maintenance on another. Water doesn't scare me. But what happened that night at Crescent Lake, it changed the way I look at reflections. My name's Liam Cross, and this isn't a ghost story. It's about the night the water disappeared under us and then came back like it had never gone. It was early September. Still humid, but cold enough for fog to roll in after midnight. My buddy, Ben O'Reilly, and I decided to do some night fishing. We'd been there 100 times. Same dock, same aluminum boat, same stupid playlist on the speaker. Last trip of the season, Ben said, tossing the anchor. One more before the freeze. The air was still. Even the crickets went quiet. The lake looked flat, glass smooth. But when I dropped the line, it hit the water with no ripple, like dropping it into oil. We laughed it off until Ben pointed out something weird. Dude, where's our echo? He was right. Our voices just stopped. No bounce, no carry over the water. The sound died halfway between us and the shore. Then the depth finder blinked and reset itself. The screen showed a reading of 3.4 feet, but Crescent Lake was at least 40 feet deep. Ben hit the unit. It flashed again. 2.8 feet. Maybe the battery's low. But I felt the current under a shift, like something massive was moving below. Fog thickened fast, swallowing the shore lights. Our boat spun slowly, anchor rope tightening on its own. Then the smell hit. Wet clay, rot, like something dredged up from the bottom. Ben leaned over the side with his flashlight. The beam cut through the fog and hit mud. Wait, he whispered. The water's dropping. He wasn't wrong. Within seconds, the hole scraped against silt. Fish flopped around us, gasping where the lake used to be. The sound wasn't water draining, it was breathing. Long and deep, like the earth exhaling. The fog thinned just enough for me to see it. The lake bed below us wasn't flat. It spiraled, like a drain. Black muck circling inward. And at the center, the ground pulsed. Then aimed as light, the mud moved. Something beneath it flexed, slow, heavy. Then the boat lurched forward, pulled toward the center. "Cut the rope!" I yelled. He sliced it. The line snapped back, stinging his arm. The pulsing stopped. Then, from somewhere in that hollow pit, came a sound I'll never forget. A low heartbeat, steady, wet, impossibly close. We started rowing blind. Fog so thick we couldn't tell direction. The GPS blinked nonsense. Our coordinates spinning. Ben shouted, "We're going in circles." The heartbeat followed us, louder now, under the hull. Then it stopped. Silence. And out of nowhere, water rushed back, up from beneath, roaring over the edge like a reversed waterfall. The lake filled itself in seconds. Our boat lifted, tossed like a leaf. When it finally settled, the fog broke, and we were back near the dock, tied up. But neither of us remembered tying the rope. Sunrise found us sitting on the dock, shaking, shoes caked in mud. The water looked normal again, calm, reflective, like nothing had happened. We packed up in silence. At breakfast, Ben swore he'd filmed the whole thing, but when we checked his phone, the videos were gone. Every single one. Even the timestamp skipped from 12:42 a.m. to 1:06 a.m. A 24-minute gap. We promised not to talk about it. Some things sound insane unless you've lived them. A week later, Ben called me at 2 a.m. His voice was shaking. "Check Google Maps," he said. "Search Crescent Lake." I did. Nothing. No label, no outline, just forest. 2 days after that, it reappeared. Perfectly normal, like it had always been there. But if you zoom in close enough, there's a faint gray spiral in the middle. I went back once, just to see. The water was still. Almost too still. My reflection looked fine. Until it blinked. I keep the photo of that night on my phone. A picture of fog and nothing else. Sometimes, when I zoom in, I swear I can see 3 tiny shapes. A vent grill, a rusted keychain, and a half-submerged boat. Maybe they're just pixels. Or maybe the stories we tell don't end when we stop telling them. They wait, breathing quietly, behind the glass.